Hello, family. Welcome to Relationship Wednesday. Today on the podcast, we have Danielle Reinhart. Danielle is a wife and mom of two girls. She's an animal lover, music admirer, and believer. That's a woman after my own heart. I love music as well.
I thought you was highlighting the believer part. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to highlight that also. Definitely a believer, father. Definitely a believer. She is a fun fitness doer, a foodie.
Shout out to the foodies. Come on now.
Woman after my wife's own heart.
Yep.
Loves to bake and keen shopping. That's her motto, keen shopping. She likes to shop for, what is that, like sales and stuff like that?
Yeah, I do. I like the digging. I like the, finding good deals and nice things. And I like the hunt.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
I love it.
She is currently on a mission to help women find and take back their mojo. Her favorite scripture is Philippians 4:13. I can do all this through him who gives me strength.
Yes, indeed.
I love it. Danielle, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. I'm excited to hear what you're going to say about the food. I mean, I'm kidding. Not really kidding. We'll talk about that after.
Let's talk about that after.
Yes.
Talk about that off camera.
There you go.
Oh, man. So.
Well, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, honey, how did you meet Danielle?
Well, I met Danielle. You were in our room on Clubhouse.
I was, yes.
In our room on Clubhouse. And I have not the best memory, but I don't recall what transpired that made me reach out to you. It was something, or did you reach out to me?
No, you did reach out to me. I don't remember either, though. Like what was the impetus behind it? But I remember the room was pretty powerful that day, and everything that everyone was sharing was resonating with me. And I just I just spoke for a quick minute. But yeah, you reached out after, and I was happy you did.
Well, there you go. See, divine intervention.
Clubhouse is awesome. It's a great platform when used the right way, of course, as with everything in social media. But it gives you an opportunity to connect with people that you normally wouldn't connect with.
Right.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Danielle, tell us a little bit about what you're doing, what your mission is, what your purpose is, and what's going on in your life right now.
So I am a mama. I stay at home with my two girls, and they are 6 and 9, so first and third grade. But last year during COVID, I decided I've kind of been all the way up until I had children. I defined myself kind of by my work, right? I poured myself into my work, and that's what I kind of defined my life by. And when I had children after number 2, I decided to stay home.
Mm-hmm.
And during COVID, when everything was so polarizing is like the best word I can use to describe it. I kind of usually find myself in the middle on things. I can see I'm an empath, so I guess I just can put myself into one side or the other side, and I don't necessarily like picking a side. I definitely have my own opinions, and I'm pretty, like, anyone who knows me would say, oh, she picks a side. I don't pick a side. I have a strong opinion on things.
Right.
But I can be swayed, and I can see another point of view, and I'm not, closed-minded. And I understand that everyone comes at a situation based on what's going on in their life. And so I try not to be polarizing. And so sometimes when I would point out to others that they might be being a little bit like that, I would just be attacked. And I was feeling very alone last year. I mean, I was just feeling super alone. And politics only made it worse, right? Everybody's stance on COVID was bad enough. And then you threw politics into the mix, and it was a whole nother level. And I've always been a glass half full, really positive type of person, but I found myself in this really dark place last year.
Mm-hmm.
I was just, I now know what I never could relate. My brother has battled with anxiety and depression he's been a teenager. But I couldn't really relate to that. I couldn't wrap my head around it until last year. I had thoughts that, I couldn't believe I was having, and I was able to recognize those. And, it was really rooting in God that kind of got me through it. But it also, then it was what he opened up into my life, which was this amazing business that I started last year. And it was, it brought back a piece of me. It brought back like that. And it wasn't necessarily the business, it was more the people and just the positivity and the love that was flowing. And the mission and the heart of this company is all about empowering women to embrace who they are today. Like, no matter what, embrace who you are today, and let's step into the best version of ourselves. Like, we're going to move forward together. And it happens to be in the clothing industry, which is I love clothes. I love shopping. And so it was like this kind of divine timing happened. And it pulled me completely out of that spot. But it really gave me some perspective and some ability to relate, because, until you go through hard, you have a hard time relating to that. And so it was a blessing in a way, but it was a really, rough time. And so that is kind of my passion and my purpose right now. What I really felt like that made me realize was that I had gotten to a place where I had lost myself, and I had put all of my self into my kids, and and it just made me want to help other women, especially when their kids are in that young stage of life and they are staying home, or even maybe they're working, but just to not lose who they are through motherhood, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's awesome.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. What's the name of the company, if I may ask?
Oh, it's called Savvy, Savvi. And so we're a lifestyle brand. We just launched last month. And so we're mostly in the athleisure space right now, which, for obvious reasons, right?
Right.
Everybody is pretty much wearing that anymore.
Right.
But yeah, we just launched. And so I'm super excited about that.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
You can kind of relate to that a little bit. You always talk about defining yourself as the title of what you do.
Yes. And when that title is gone,
who are you?
You're like so lost. Like, who am I without this label, this title? And
who am I without being vice president?
Right.
Who am I without being this,
Right.
So so that's awesome.
And, when you become an empty nester, who am I outside
without my kids?
That's such and such as mom.
Right.
It's a scary place to be.
Awesome.
But thankfully, there are people that God spoke to, and they stepped up to the call to help these women navigate these waters, which I think it's amazing that you're doing that.
Absolutely.
From an experience space.
There you go.
I went through it, so now I can really relate. So I understand what you're going through. We receive it better when we know you've walked it before us.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
I love that.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? Let's get to these questions.
All right.
Because I'm dying to hear your answers. I know you shared with me that you did 12 years of Catholic school, as did I, and it gives us a different perspective, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I love this.
Way different. Way different family. Public school here, so.
Okay.
All y'all that know.
Don't judge the uniform.
Didn't say nothing.
My kids are in public school now, so.
I liked it. It was good.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Danielle, when did you fall in love with Jesus, and what did that journey look like?
So I know you sent me these questions ahead of time, and I was like, oh, wow, these are really deep. And I don't like to script anything. And so I'm pretty much an off the cuff type of person. But it got me to thinking, like, I never knew, like growing up in the Catholic Church, for instance, like, you love God, and but when you said it the way that you did, falling in love with Jesus, and I was like, oh, that is super interesting. Like but I feel like I'm doing it now. Like, it's an ongoing thing. And, growing up, my mom was a Catholic school teacher, and, I went to grade school, high school, all in the Catholic church. And then I went away to college, and there was a church on my campus, and I did go there, more probably than most kids go to church during college, but not a lot. And I came back from college, and I was just, once I never felt at home there. I always felt a little, I don't know. I was a typical cafeteria Catholic. They call us cafeteria Catholics because, when you go through the cafeteria line, you can choose what you want and what you don't want, right, to eat. Well, that's how you are when you're a Catholic. You can pick and choose what you want to believe. And that's what, it's kind of like an accepted thing in the Catholic Church, because we don't all agree with all of the teachings of the Catholic Church. And I definitely fell into that category. And so for me, a lot of the time I felt a disconnect. And I didn't ever feel at home there. And I searched when I got out of college for a church where I was feeling at home. I went to so many different churches in my and I would stay for a month. I'm going to give it a shot every Sunday. Let's go for a month. If I really love it, I feel like that's a good enough try. Right. And I just didn't. And when, I don't want to get into the whole priest thing, but when all of the controversy that's surrounding the Catholic Church now started to come to light, I just couldn't do it any longer. I was like, this is definitely not where I need to be. I can't be here any longer. It's why I leave corporate jobs. Like something about me, I have to be in line. I have to feel this, like we're there for the right reasons, and that, the people at the top are really doing things that if I don't feel comfortable with it, I have to go. So I was in sales, thankfully. So I could just pick up and go, okay, I'm going to go work for this company because I happen to be good at what I did. So I had that luxury. A lot of people don't, I know. And so, but that's how I did with the Catholic Church. I was like, I'm done here. I had a friend that invited me to her church, and I started going, and, it was considered non-denominational, Christian church. And I went there, and I started, well, first of all, it was a shock. It was a shock. If you grow up in the Catholic Church, yes. I'm sure yes. This band that was playing super loud music. I was just like, what is happening? What is happening?
Super loud music.
Super loud. It still is, right? It's still super loud.
Oh, yeah.
And why wouldn't we want super? I mean, when we go to the concert, it's super loud music, right?
Exactly.
So we have to worship the same way as we go to a concert and, worship the band. And I put that in air quotes because, that's your way of saying that you are receiving it and saying that you are, you like what they're doing and all of the things. So why not sing that to God and just, yes. do it as loud as you can.
Exactly.
Throw up your hands, whatever you're feeling. Yeah. And that was super foreign though. I did not always feel that way. I was just like, oh my. And so I would never, people be raising their hands and I'm like, oh, okay. But I'm just going to sit here. And there was no kneeling and, all this stuff. So, it was way, way, way different, very ritualistic in the Catholic Church. Everything, is done on a cycle and it's all planned. And so I really, something that I've learned about my journey is when you are growing up like that, there are a lot of things in the Catholic Church that I believe, which is why I think it felt inauthentic to me. You've heard of Catholic guilt, right? It's something that they use. It's like this guilt thing. The reason that you are doing these things in your life is because if you don't measure up. And, you may not be loved by God, or you have to go to confession and talk to a priest who can then talk to God for you. But it wasn't really like God isn't that accessible. Like it wasn't something where even though you pray, I would never talk to God. It was just a prayer. And typically it was a prayer asking for something, whether it be to heal your friend or to intervene in your life or whatever. But now I found myself in a relationship with God where I can just talk to him through my day.
Yeah.
And that is something that is kind of, I think, a little bit foreign, at least it was. I don't know, they may have changed a little bit, the Catholic Church, but it was always like that priest was that person who is like almost interceding on your behalf to talk to God and to give you your forgiveness and all of these things when, as we know, it's Jesus Christ and he died on a cross. And that is the reason why we were forgiven. And so all we have to do is ask and we are forgiven. And we don't even have to ask. We just have to accept him into our hearts. But, I still ask for forgiveness.
Of course.
Yeah.
Directly though, not through someone else.
Come on now, say that. I love that.
God don't need no PR guy.
Right.
He don't need no publicist. Somebody to speak for him.
I love that.
Bring it to me and I'll take it to him. No.
Right.
That's not the God I serve. I can go right to him. So that's awesome.
But interestingly enough, there is a scripture, and I don't know it offhand, and I will find it and mention it in the next podcast, that states that we should confess to our brothers and sisters. But I believe he means it in a sense of accountability. Pray together, hold one another up in that space. I asked God for forgiveness, but let me share with you something I did because I don't want to go down that road again. My brother, my sister, walk with me, hold me up, hold me accountable. If you see me going, just pull my coattail.
Right.
So it's unfortunate that sometimes we will read the Bible and interpret it in the way we choose. Oh, confess to your brothers and sisters. So you got to come tell me. That's not what he means. Not for you to say, okay, you'll be okay. Just eat. You know what I mean?
It's funny you say that because on the other hand, he tells you very specifically that we are to hold, we are one in the body.
Right.
So if one part of our body is hurting, as your brother in Christ, I'm supposed to be there for you. I'm supposed to hold you up. I'm supposed to help you. So when you look at both sides of that, it's very, very clear. It's not that, I need to tell you all my business,
right. So that you can go tell God.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's so you can ensure that I'm not operating out of the will of God.
Absolutely.
Because that is our charge anyway, to make sure we hold our fellow Christians accountable. If I see a Christian, someone that I know is a Christian, doing something that's, outside of the will of God, if I don't say anything, then I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
I'm not following what he's charged me to do.
But we have to remember to do it in love.
In love,
we often
correct in love, absolutely.
Laced with judgment.
Yep, correct in
so
love.
We have to be really mindful about how we bring it to the person. And that's a fine line.
That is a fine line.
That's a fine line. Girl, because I know you're not that. See how that sounds?
Yeah.
Or sis, I see you kind of going in the direction we talked about. Let me help you redirect.
Yeah.
Let me pray with you. What do you need at this moment?
Yeah.
Right. And when you're coming from that place of love, as opposed to coming from the place of, well, I'm further along in my journey than you, and I know what I'm doing and I'm better than you.
Right.
And I feel like in the Catholic Church, you do get that. And I keep bringing up the Catholic Church, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to bash them, but I think they have a lot of things in their church that practices that just, they make it more about this hierarchy as opposed to we are all one, like you said, we are all one brother and sister. We are all one body of
Right.
Christ.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Wow.
Awesome.
And I love that you said it's falling in love is something that you're doing right now.
Ongoing.
Because
Yeah.
isn't that an ongoing thing? You
Mhm.
know, sometimes you're like, oh, I can't get enough. And sometimes you're like, all right, you can just sit there for a minute next to me. I don't necessarily want to hug on you, but just sit right next to me. I still love you. So I love the process of falling in love with Jesus. It's wonderful.
Awesome.
So who is God to you in your relationship right now?
So, we're all on a journey, right? But I have been doing some Bible study. So I through, well, COVID, I guess, is what really got me into diving deeper into the Bible. And I wasn't going to church physically, I watch it on Sunday from my living room, but I wasn't actually going to the church. And I feel like you get something when you go to church that you don't quite get in your living room.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started digging deeper into myself and what feeds me. And I try to start my day, and I do almost every single morning. I open up my Bible app on my phone, the YouVersion Bible app.
Mm-hmm.
And I read their story. Well, they have a story in there that you can listen to daily. And then you go through a verse and kind of meditate on it. And there's a devotional in there usually about it. And so then I pray, and I really think that, I got a tattoo when I was in college. It was something I was not planning to do. My roommate was going, and I said, I'm going with you. I'm scared to death of needles. And I wound up getting this tattoo that day. And it means I fear none except for God, is what it means. This is what the meaning of the tattoo is. And, my mom was still a Catholic school teacher at this time. And my parents, were not okay with me getting a tattoo, number one. But when my mother found out what it meant, that to her was more like hurtful than getting that tattoo itself. Because as in the Catholic faith, we're taught that we don't fear God. It's, you don't fear God. And you asked about my relationship with God and where it is now. And I feel like we always say God the Father. And that is the kind of fear, right, that you're talking about when I'm talking about fearing God. It's not a fear of him. It's more that reverence, that respect, that, it's not a fear of I'm afraid. It's more of a reverence that I'm referring to. And I think that's the intention of the fear of God, right? I think, when people say, I'm going to put the fear of God in you, and they're trying to intimidate you, like that's different, right? That's not what we're like, supposed
good.
to do.
Put the love of God in me. I want that. Awesome.
But it's not supposed to be a scary thing. It's supposed to be a relationship where he is like your father. You're looking up to him for guidance. You're looking up to him in respect. You're looking up to him. But you at the same, and that, sometimes you're going to get called out, and, sometimes you're going to get shown that you're not supposed to be doing a certain thing or walking a certain way or whatever, but that he loves you no matter what. And so I think, that's my relationship now with him, is that I truly do believe that he is always there for me and always accessible, like a father would be. And, I really am able to receive that in a different way. So
I love that. I love that. So what stage do you think you're in right now with God?
Stage. So I didn't know there was are there defined stages or
So it could be the honeymoon stage. It could be we're getting to learn one another again. We're coming back to, it could be anything.
Okay. It's an interesting question. So,
that's why we asked.
Definitely through the honeymoon stage, right? Like, I think, in the honeymoon stage, it's all bliss and whatever. And, but I don't know, like, gosh. Looking at in terms of marriage, like, I definitely feel like, I'm definitely married. Like, I am committed. I am, committed to working on the relationship daily. I'm committed to growing the relationship. I am committed to, no matter what, to keep that reminder there that, he is there for me. He is here with me. And, this life is something we're doing together. And so I guess we're married.
I love it. I love it.
Go with.
And I love that you said we're doing this life together.
Yes.
Because we often do it separate. We often, we quote unquote stand together and we walk together, but are we really doing it together? You may say, come on, Lise, this is the better path for you, but I keep focusing on the left. So we're kind of going through the motions of a marriage. So I love that you said you're doing it together and your partner's in this relationship. Yes. And that's the thing, because that's a give and take. All right, God, I'll do, but what can I do for you? I'm asking, but what can I do for you? You use me. And that's a beautiful thing for real.
Yeah. And thank God we serve a God that, he has a path for our life. And if we go off on this other path, he's still on that path. And he's also on the path where we go off, making sure he protects us and everything. He's like, okay, they went left, but let me just hang out with them. Let me hang back a little bit to make sure they don't get hurt too bad. They got to get scarred up a little bit, because I got to let them know that that's not the way you're supposed to go. And, you won't learn anything if everything is peaches and cream when you go that way. So let me let you get bruised up a little bit, but trust and believe, I got you. I'll bring you back. I'll heal your wounds. I'll dust you off, put you back on the right path, and we'll continue on together. And I won't speak of the fact that you went that way, because that's not who I am.
Come on, say that.
Say I love you anyway, even though I knew you was going that way, I still love you. So get back on path with me, and we're walking. And that never happened, as far as I'm concerned. That's a beautiful thing. That's because, dealing with humans, that ain't that.
Right.
You remember what you did 2 years ago?
Right. That was 2 years ago. You still harping on that? Yes, I am.
Yes, I am. So thank God for that.
Because we're human. We can't forget it.
Right.
And here's the beautiful thing. We can. We choose not to.
There you go.
Because what did you say? Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. But it's important to realize I can do all things that's within his will.
Right.
Because he didn't ask me to jump off the building. So I can't do that thing because that's not in his will.
But forgiveness.
Right. Forgiveness and forgetting.
That's right in line with what he does.
Right. Because since I've been on this, I want to be free. There are some things I've forgotten. And someone says something, I said, oh, shoot, I did go through that. Thank you, God. Because I don't need to hold on to those things. So we can even forget. But it's a bargaining chip for us oftentimes when we pull it out. Oh, he acting crazy. Let me tell him. Remember when you and you bring him down, you put it back in your pocket.
that was a podcast we just did recently about choices. Yeah. You choosing to remember certain things, or you hold on to certain things, and you're choosing to hold on. Let it go. Even your own guilt of certain things that you've done in your life. God says, I've forgiven you. Let that go. I'm not concerned about that. So why are you concerned? Why are you still dragging that baggage?
Yes.
You're supposed to give that to me years ago.
Yes.
Right.
I'd have lightened that load years ago. You still carrying it. Or you still going out in the ocean to get that whale.
Get that whale. I'm throwing that whale on the ocean. Here you go, going to get
it.
Can't even swim.
You're going to get that sin or that sin, that whatever, right that guilt, that shame. You're going back into the ocean to get it and pull it back to the shore.
Imagine how hurtful that is for Jesus.
So
I died for that very thing that you keep bringing back. So my death was in vain.
Mm-hmm.
I went through all that suffering so that you can continue to hold on to the thing that I died for. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, when you hit it like that and you picture that, you're like, whoa.
Right. How dare I go get that very thing you straight sacrificed your son for, and I go get it. It's like, yeah, all right, God, I know you gave up your son, but whatever. but when you say it and you hear it, you go, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Now I really have to go say, I'm sorry, Lord. Please forgive me and help me to not pull those things back, because it becomes a habit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's kind of how the world works. What do you look at? Let me look at your record. Give me your resume. I want to see your past to see if you're worthy to be in this position, to see if you're worthy to get this house, if you're worthy to get this bank account. Oh, your past looks bad. And you're like, but I'm not that person anymore. If God doesn't see that, you won't give me stuff, and God gives me far more than, you know what? I ain't
your credit.
Right. But God is going.
Yeah, but I was young and didn't know about managing money then, but now I'm a different person. Doesn't matter. So, credit's still bad.
So essentially, essentially, we're being trained to hold on to our sin.
Yes.
But that's why he says, remember, you're not of this world.
So why are you worried about worldly
as
things?
If you're set apart, right?
Yep. So why are you worried about that? If you're truly not of this world, why are you even worried about that? He says that in the word.
So good. So good. And it reminds me of something that I've been taught, that we're always operating from a place of either fear or it's love. So is it love or is it fear? And a lot of times when we're thinking about our past, we're operating from a place of fear because we've failed in that area, or we have, something has happened in our past that we're not proud of, or whatever it is. But we're operating from a place of fear. And when you can flip it and just kind of change the narrative in your head to be operating from a place of love, you act completely differently.
Yeah. It's freeing.
Yes.
It's a freeing thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it.
I'm good. That lit a fire under me. I am good.
Yeah.
You on fire now?
I'm on fire. Okay. You see, I had to stop myself because I could have took off.
Yeah, you could just drop the mic right there. You're like, done.
Our family be like, why is this podcast 2.5 hours? They're not usually that long. Get into this one.
There's some good stuff in there.
There's some good stuff on this.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Talking about Jesus, dying on the cross and us not bringing it back up or throwing it in his face. Whoa, no.
Yeah, that's
good stuff.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
I'm good. Don't look at me. I'm good. I'm good. I feel like I need to go pray about a couple things when we get off of this.
Oh my goodness. All right, Danielle. So normally at this time we give our guests an opportunity to pour into the family, to our listeners. If there's something on your heart that you want to share with the family, just words of wisdom, the mic is yours.
Oh wow. Okay.
No pressure.
So no pressure, right? Gosh. Something that doing my Bible app this morning, there was a woman on there who I had never seen before, and she was doing the story. And so I went to her Instagram, and her name was Amy Seifert. And she on her Instagram had just posted this. It was like a little handwritten note, which I love I love written word. And so it just caught my eye, and it said, community isn't efficient. And I was like, huh? So I clicked on it, and she went about a story about this community of women. And I cannot remember, where it took place or anything, but how they would always get together and wash their clothes in the river or the stream or whatever that there was in this community. And they one by one started getting washing machines. And so they stopped, going to this place to wash their garments, and they were using their washing machines, which are way more efficient, right? But they all started to get depressed. And the reason that they were depressed is because when they were coming together in community, they were sharing with one another and they were filling each other's cups, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
then when they got the washing machines, they were cleaning their clothes much more efficiently, right? And the community of one another probably wasn't the most efficient use of their time, but at the same time, it just was super powerful. Like, God is efficient. It made me just think God is efficient. Like, I looked it up even, it might still be, I'm just going to look real fast because it might still be on my phone when I looked up the definition of efficiency. And it just was talking about, and of course now I don't see it. But how, it made me think about community. And yes, it might not be efficient, right? Because you're pouring in yourself and you're having to give yourself to community in order to get something out of it. And we may be able to, we can go to God and get what we need from him, right? In a more efficient manner. But we're in this world and we need one another. And while community may not be efficient, we are inefficient also as human beings, right? We're not human doings, I think is actually the way she put it. We're human beings. And so we need one another and we need that community of one another in relationship with God, even better, right? And so we can get what we need from him, and then we can help one another and pour into one another. Right. And so I don't know. That's what came to me to share right now.
Awesome.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Please tell everyone where they can find you, where they can get their mojo back, if they want to connect with you, please share.
Okay. So on Facebook, I'm just at Danielle Reinhart. On Instagram, my handle is Savvy Getting Candid on Camera. So when I first started on my journey, and I'm still on this journey, I'm actually in a course right now called Manifesting Your Purpose. And, what you guys are doing, I feel like I may be doing at some point in the near future, not exactly what you're doing, but just some kind of a podcast or a YouTube channel or something, maybe in my future, because I to help pour into others. And, I was in television and radio advertising, but I would often be on commercials, or I hosted a television program once. And so I don't mind the camera. I don't mind it. And so when I decided on my handle, the Getting Candid on Camera, you remember that show, Getting Candid on Camera? I don't know why I chose it, but I chose that because I thought I'm going to get raw and real on the camera. I'm not going to be this scripted. I'm going to be off the cuff. It's going to be whatever it's going to be. And I haven't started it yet, but that's my, and Savvy, SAVVI is the company that I partnered with and that I'm loving so much. And so that's my handle on Instagram is Savvy Candid on Camera. And I think that's really the only two. I mean, I'm on Clubhouse as well. And again, Danielle Reinhart. So that's where I spend the majority of my time. And I would love to connect with anyone there.
I love it.
So
Awesome divine connection.
See? Clubhouse people. Along with our podcast.
Look at that. Look at God using Clubhouse to connect folks. Come on, Jesus. It's awesome.
Who you think gave the creator of Clubhouse that idea?
Did you not hear me say? Jesus.
Just saying.
That's it.
All right, Danielle. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. We really appreciate it. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was.
Again, hopefully the family can get something out of this podcast. I know we did.
Indeed.
So, again, there you have it. Love and blessings, people.
Thank you.
Love and blessings. Thank you for listening to Let's Talk R&R with Tony and Lisa. Follow us on Instagram at Let's Talk R&R, where we welcome your feedback.